Hey guys, so we are going to go over at least part of the report card for the Senate candidates that should have just watched a short video on. So we're going to start by looking at the PowerPoint that is provided in the module. Remember, we're talking about Dick Durbin and Mark Curran Jr., or the two candidates that we're discussing today. And the first topic that is on our report card here is healthcare. And we're going to be using two different sources to fill out this organizer. The first one is this this PowerPoint that we're going to be using, and the other one is the website I showed you guys called Vote Smart. And we're going to take a look at both candidates' stances on a couple of these topics today. Okay, so when it comes to healthcare, let's start with our current senator running for re-election, Dick Durbin. All right, and this is what Dick Durbin has to say about healthcare. The cost of healthcare has gone up more quickly than inflation, making it difficult for families and businesses to keep up. The Affordable Care Act, that's the one that's also commonly referred to as Obamacare, is curbing the growth of healthcare costs, giving patients more control over their care and providing coverage to millions of Americans who otherwise would not have access to healthcare. Okay, so he is speaking in favor of the affordable healthcare, saying that it's helping keep the costs of healthcare low. Okay. Now, before I write anything in the organizer, I also want to take a look at this website as well. I'm going to go down to healthcare. All right, and I've already expanded. You can expand the options here with this arrow. Okay, and there are two questions here that he has answered about healthcare. One of them is, do you support repealing, meaning getting rid of, the 2010 Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare? All right, so does he want to get rid of it? And he flat out says no. Okay, so again, he's in favor of the Affordable Care Act. All right, but he's also asked, do you support requiring businesses to provide paid medical leave during public health crisis such as COVID-19? Okay, so he actually voted yes on this. All right, stating, or that kind of means that if you work someplace and you get sick, with COVID in this case, and you have to miss work. All right, he's saying that businesses should have to provide some paid medical leave. So they should maybe not a full pay or anything, but they should at least provide some money while that person is out sick. Okay, so I'm going to go back here to Dick Durbin, who's on the left-hand side here. I would say he strongly supports the Affordable Care Act. Again, also known as Obamacare. Try to spell better than me though. Affordable Care Act. All right. He also would like businesses to provide paid medical leaves in public. Let me go back and see how that was worded again. During public health crises. And public health crises. That doesn't mean like if you get, if you get the common cold, you can't come into work for a day or something. That's not, you don't get paid for that. But if you have to miss extensive amounts of work because of a public health crisis like COVID-19, then you would be able to, or those people would have to, help pay. Okay, so let's take a look at what Mark Curran Jr. says. All right, and he says, I believe patients and doctors, certainly not government bureaucrats, should be in charge of healthcare decisions. I'm for expanding choice and competition in our healthcare system. I strongly oppose socialized medicine. And what he means by socialized medicine is, insurance that is paid for by the government. Okay, so he, is probably going to be. So he's opposed to. I'm actually going to go to the organizer right now. He is opposed to socialized medicine. And in parentheses here, I'm going to put paid for by the government. Opposed. And so let's go up here. We're going to take a look at, we're going to search up Mark Curran. Again, go by last name, Curran. All right, and he's actually Mark Curran Jr., so he's going to be down here a little bit. Let me go to positions and see what it is he believes about healthcare. So I'm going to scroll down to healthcare. All right, and he has been asked the same two questions. Do you support repealing, getting rid of Obamacare? And he said yes. And do you support requiring businesses to provide paid medical leave during public health crises such as COVID-19? He voted no on that. So he and Dick Durbin have pretty opposite views when it comes to healthcare. So he says, I do not support putting additional burdens on businesses that have been forced to either reduce their capacity or cease operations altogether. To do so would be unfair. So he's arguing that businesses already are struggling enough. We shouldn't make them have to pay for people getting sick. Okay. So he's opposed to socialized medicine, all right, which means, Obamacare, all right, and he thinks businesses struggle enough, so they should not have to have paid medical leave. All right. So let's move on to our next topic, all right, which is education. Okay. And again, we'll start. Actually, we'll go ahead and start with Mark Curran this time, since we already have his website pulled up here. Curran supports teachers, public schools, and private parochial. That means like schools that are affiliated with a religion or a church. Why don't we have school choice? All the elites have school choice. Let's create opportunities for our kids and their future, not deter them. I support the expansion and advocacy of occupational training and trade schools. Those are like schools that are a little different than just your traditional schools. Instead, you go and train for a particular job or a particular profession. So it looks like he is for school choice, right? So he is in favor of school choice, okay, as well as occupational and trade schools. All right, that's like going to like electrician school, or to go learn a skill to be able to get a job. Okay, so let's go ahead, and we're still on Mark Curran's site here. So let's go to education, see what he has to say. All right, do you support requiring states to adopt federal educational standards? So back when President Obama was president, he created what was called the Common Core, which is where every state had the same set of standards that their students had to meet. He is opposed to that. He thinks that each state should have their own sets of standards. So he is opposed to federal standards for schools. Okay? He thinks that they should be, each state should kind of figure out what their kids should know. Okay, so let's take a look at what Dick Durbin says about education. Okay, Durbin believes access to a quality education from pre-kindergarten through higher education should not be a luxury only for the wealthy. The cost of higher education has increased dramatically in recent decades, and student debt has tripled over the last decade. I am working to ensure that all students, regardless of their income status, receive a quality education, college education, that will help them get ahead without saddling them with a mountain of debt. Okay, so he focuses most of his on free education, free college education. Okay, but let's go back here. Let's go back to Dick Durbin and see what he says about education here. Do you support requiring states to adopt federal education standards? So it does look like he supports. So he supports federal education standards. So he's basically saying that every state should have to do kind of the same thing, where they all have certain things that kids should know. Doesn't matter what state you're from, you guys should all be taking like the same test and learning the same information. Where again, Mark Curran is saying, well, some states should learn certain information, other state, they can figure it out for themselves. Let each state make that decision. Okay. He also favors free, or at least cheaper college education. Okay. Now, if we look at what these guys have been saying, and we compare them to the two that we did yesterday with Joe Biden and Donald Trump, you can definitely see some similarities between Dick Durbin and Joe Biden, and then Mark Curran and Donald Trump. So what you're going to do next is you're going to write down what you agree with. All right, a plus for you agree, a minus for you disagree. Okay, so this is what you guys need to get done today. Tomorrow when we meet in class, we will be doing the other two together.